Okay, happy 4th. And let's see, this is not an IEP question per se, although could be potentially once schools open back up. If mask wearing is mandatory in schools or stores or anywhere, can people who have sensory issues caused by a disability be asked to leave a store because of not wearing a mask or not allowed in either a store or school? Or can a store ask about said disability? You saw a fake disability card that people are supposedly printing, waiving them from mask wearing, and I wanted to know if this is something that can even be challenged. A good question. I'm sure it's going to stoke a lot of conversation on this page. For some reason, masks do it. Okay. A store is a private corporation. Okay, so it's a private business, and they can establish whatever policy they want. Now, at the same time, you sit there and you go, well, they can't be discriminatory. That's absolutely correct, but that requires a legal challenge, and that's also where. Well, I'll get to that, but let me get to this first. There's going to be a little bit more flexibility granted to stores' ability to be rigid with their policies if there is a state health order out there with regards to mask wearing. All right, so a store at that point can sit there and say, look, as long as they don't discriminate, well, how can they not discriminate? Okay, that means that, let's say you try to go into Costco, because Costco is one of those that adopted a very draconian policy with regards to, no entrance if you don't have a mask. Right? I don't agree with that, but I don't shop at Costco, and so therefore it sort of solidified that I won't be shopping at Costco. That's how I make my decisions in this world, guys. I don't give my money to corporations that I think are doing things that I don't agree with. I mean, I can spend my money other places, and they can act however they choose. I just don't make a big deal about them. I afford them that right as a private business to make decisions as they see fit. And if I disagree with them, fine. Okay. I don't patronize those businesses, and therefore they don't get my money. But with regards to Costco, they've set a sort of a national policy that no masks, no entrance. That's going to make a lot of you very giddy and happy. Great. Which means that you want to spend your money there and buy, 2,500 snack packs of chocolate pudding, whatever. But at the same time, there's exceptions that exist. We are not all the same. Okay, guys, we are part of a human family, and all of us are not. That one size does not fit all. All of us have varying conditions, mentally, emotionally, physically. And it just baffles me sometimes when I get into these arguments about masks on this page, where I have such a variety of parents and educators on here that should know better, that should know that not everybody is the same, but there's still people that just absolutely don't believe that whatever. Okay, I just don't want to get into that aspect. But I'm just saying that with regards to private corporations, yes, they can sit there and do that, and with some flexibility to back them up, because there's a state health order in your particular state that may say that. Most states are not going to be that hardcore. It just sort of depends on where you live. I happen to live in a hardcore state, one of the toughest when it comes to these policies, to the point where even though it has one of the lowest death rates and positive rates in the country, doesn't mean that the governor's not doubling down where I live, to the point where I think it just strengthened the prior mask order, which was already tough, to where now there's $100 fine attached to it. And then put onto it the additional pressure of having the businesses police it, under whatever threat. But the exceptions didn't go away. You see, threat of a $100 fine, telling the businesses that they have to enforce it, but yet the exceptions are still there because the exceptions exist and you can't discriminate. All right. So with these businesses, if they deny you entrance, then what that means is they've got to have some kind of accommodation, meaning if you tell us what you need, we'll go get it. We'll bring it to you. Okay. You see, that's an alternative. So there you're still getting what you're looking for, but you're not necessarily being granted access into the private business. Now, I don't see that happening. They can't do stuff like that once that order goes away. And they can't do that once these things are sort of loosened, because at that point that becomes a real serious, challengeable legal issue. And I have a feeling that a lot of these governors are going to get slapped down because the court system was a little bit delayed, as they always are when it comes to constitutional questions. There's always sort of an echo, boom. So, you know, the states, the federal government does all this stuff, and then the courts get involved. And it's always the aftermath. But at that point, that's who cleans it up, because we have a separation of powers in this country, thank God, to where judges apply a different analysis on whether or not this was violative of people's constitutional rights and their liberty. All right. And I think a lot of these governors are going to get slapped down, and a lot of this stuff's going to be corrected. And hopefully this next time around, if something else were to happen, if we have another pandemic, then I hope that a lot of the power of these governors gets reined in. Okay. The legislature should make the laws. I don't agree with the governors having carte blanche power to just exercise the kind of authority that they think they should. I think that it's damaging. It can be balanced, and some of them have not balanced it and have gone a bit overboard. But see, don't get mad at me, guys. I'm a civil libertarian. I'm a civil rights attorney. So I don't care about how I feel about things. I look at things from the aspect of, is this damaging to the individual? All right. Is this damaging to the individual liberties? Because if I look at things that way, then I'm protecting everybody's rights. That's how things work in my mind. Okay. So that's why I say what I say. Now, let's turn to the institution. If it's a government institution, no, then they've got to apply it as it's written, or it's going to be discriminatory. So at that point, if the governor has, let's say, a health order about a mask, and it doesn't specify any exceptions, the state where I live, it does say exceptions. If a health professional, it says, if a health professional advises against it, doesn't say that I have to have a piece of paper. It doesn't say it needs to be written down. It doesn't say that I have to carry a card with me. It doesn't say any of that stuff. It says if a medical professional advises. Now, the state of Nevada, for example, because, you know, I'm going to be going there on a nice little short vacation. The mask order there is worded very similar to my state. You know, it's a mask order, but at the same time, it does carry the exceptions for those that have a mental health issue, those that you know, have a medical issue, disability. So there's flexibility in Nevada's mask order. And no, you don't have to prove anything. In fact, I read a Q&A from their state health director, and said that it's largely a on your honor system, you know. So it's on your honor. So nobody can sit there and question you, and nobody should question you. And quite frankly, the Americans with Disabilities Act is pretty strict about people quizzing you as to the nature of your disability. We just don't do that. All right? You know, it's not that difficult, quite frankly, to get a handicap placard, sticker, whatever. It's just not that difficult. At the same time, that once you hang it on your car, It's nobody else's freaking business that, as far as what disability that you or your child may have. But those of you, I'm sure that there's plenty of stories for those of you who have one, to where you get the stink eye, you get rotten face, and some of you have been verbally challenged by people wondering why you're taking up a handicap spot if you have a child with a disability, and not one that is necessarily visible to them to where it placates. So, this whole thing to where people go, oh, the Karens. Guys, they've always existed. Not to this level, because now we got this COVID thing going on. And everybody's up in everybody's business when they should be minding their own business. And those of you who go, well, this is my business, it's my health, or it's the health of... shut up. It's just no different, guys. At the end of the day, you're wasting your breath. You can't influence other people. You can't bully other people. They're going to do what they're going to do. The only thing that you can be concerned with and the only thing that you can control is you. That's it. And it frustrates me to see this just festering virulence, putrid, just oozing out of people, caring what other people are doing all the time. When nobody is perfect out there. Nobody. Sit there and put that on yourself as though you're all righteous and everybody else isn't. You need to de-escalate. Everybody needs to take a chill pill. You can only control you. Don't destroy your peace over what other people are doing. It just isn't worth it. Nor does it matter. It ends up getting people killed, quite frankly. I'm writing a piece right now, about the young man that was murdered last year by the police in Aurora, Colorado. It's devastating I don't even like talking about it. I mean, it just is so heartbreaking. But it's relevant. Guys, that kid would still be alive if it wasn't for the busybody that decided to call the cops and report a suspicious person wearing a hoodie and a mask in August. Kid wasn't doing anything wrong. Had earbuds in, coming home with some iced tea for his brother or his cousin, who was a lot younger. And he got choked to death. Because somebody decided that they wanted to make it their business, what was going on around them. And I can sit there and repeat that situation over and over and over and over again, to where a lot of the stuff that's going on in this country right now is a direct result of you not minding your business. Triggering things that then get out of your control. So yes, I blame the police in Aurora for killing that kid, but I also blame the person who made the call. Unless they saw something criminal and walking down the street in a hoodie with a mask on, well, especially today. I mean, God, we love people in masks now. We just given Antifa an early Christmas present, guys, because we can't identify any of them. All the rabble-rousers out there destroying stuff. Can't identify them because they're COVID safe. It's frustrating to me, what we're doing in this country. But these are power imbalances. Power imbalances. And I am not about power imbalances. The relationship that we have with government must be based upon consent. All of our laws are based upon that notion. Things have gotten out of whack to where government is not acknowledging the consent of the people. And they're bullying us, not only inside schools. The government's doing it with this COVID stuff, and I don't care your position, guys. The government is being intrusive. It's being a bully, and it's not keeping anybody any safer. It's just not. The police need to be checked. Absolutely. I don't support in defunding them, but I absolutely support in taking away their some of their toys, and I absolutely support in changing the rules of engagement, and I absolutely support mandating far more training, and also their rules of I think I said rules of engagement. There's so many things that can be done, but we need the police. We do. Come on, guys, defund it. That's insane. Yeah, we need to take away their immunity. Absolutely. You want to destroy a life? Your life needs to be destroyed financially and possibly criminally. I don't feel sorry for you. Why? I live in that world, guys. I have a private business. So every decision that I make potentially could, I have to think about the crap that I do. And I also think teachers should not be given immunity. No administrator should have immunity. No government employee should have immunity. Mask order, not within a government institution. Yes, temporarily within a business, as long as they can accommodate you. As far as being able to serve you still in an alternative way. Can they ask you about it? No, they cannot, per the ADA. They can't sit there and challenge the justifications or reasons why. You don't have to prove that you have a disability and that your child needs accommodations. You just don't have to do that. And then you sit there and say, well, my health order doesn't say anything about it. Well, you need to call and you need to double check, because that health order would be highly apt to be legally challenged if it doesn't include exceptions, logical exceptions, reasonable exceptions, because we're not all the same. And you can't force people to be, you can't put a square peg in a round hole, and vice versa, guys. No matter how much you may want to.